Okay, good evening. Here we go. Welcome to How to Maintain and Create Energy. This is something that I really enjoy getting to share. In case you're watching the recording, you don't know who I am. I'm Jen Hernandez. I live in Northeast Pennsylvania. And I honestly, right now, I'm a whole new woman than I was 5.5 years ago. I live by love bigly and live brightly. Those are two of my favorite terms, even though they're not necessarily words. And that's okay, because there's no rules. There's no real grammar police. But if you met me 5.5 years ago, you would not have met me in a tank top. You wouldn't have met me sharing with bright red lipstick. You wouldn't have met me on here right now. 5.5 years ago, I would be getting home from work and really pretty much walking directly to Couch. Couch and I were really close. I would go right to Couch. I'd tell my 4.5, 5-year-old that I didn't have the energy to play with him, and I would turn on Netflix, probably A&E, watch some episodes of Law and Order, and then just go down a rabbit hole for easily 6 hours. And I'm not exaggerating. I really was on the couch until about 2 a.m. I would then get myself to go to bed, promising to be a new, better person in the morning. And when it would come to morning, I would hit snooze for over 2 hours. I had such a bad snooze habit. I would hit snooze from about 5:45 in the morning until after 8:20 in the morning, and to the point that my husband said, if you keep doing this, you're gonna have to sleep in another room, because I can't hear the alarm that much. I just can't do it anymore. I wish that was the wake-up call that I needed. That was maybe one thing that helped me a little, but that isn't what changed. But obviously, since I'm here sharing with you and I've had a long day of work, I'm actually recovering. I'm in like day 5 or 6 of COVID, and here I am like sharing to you with energy and a smile after a long day of work, knowing that I still have energy for my family after. So something changed, and I'm going to give you 5 tips that I have used to help me create energy and maintain energy moving forward. And I promise you, although a big part of my journey was evicting over 100 pounds and getting healthier with nutrition and fitness, none of the 5 tips I'm giving you are food or movement. Now, obviously, moving your body and changing what you eat will help with your energy as well, but that's not for tonight. So what I want to do is I want to first start off in assuming that if you took the time to come on this call tonight, that you want something more, or you want energy for something in your life. And so the fact that you took the action to come here, I hope you feel good that you're spending a Wednesday night here, because I certainly wouldn't have been 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago. And I needed this more than anything. I needed these tips. I needed this community and these things I'm going to share with you. So I want to give you a pat on the back and give yourself a smile for coming and joining. And my hope is that you leave with at least one thing. I love that. I hope you will leave with at least one thing that you can use either tonight or first thing in the morning to help yourself step forward and start to feel good. Because the truth is, life is so hard. There are so many things that come up, and we're all just, honestly, I believe we're all just trying to do our best. And I think sometimes we give so much power and energy to the things that drain us, and that's a huge part of what keeps us stuck. And so my hope is to help you shift that direction a little bit and get moving forward. So I just want to tell you like why this call is important, how these tips are going to help you is honestly, energy is everything. Have you ever been in a position where someone offered you a raise or gave you a job and said, I know you're not really qualified for it. I know I've had that, or have you seen that in your life? Have you seen someone in the office get promoted and you're like, wait a minute, they don't have a degree. Wait a minute. They don't, like, have you seen this happen? And what I find is it is so much about what you're bringing energy wise, not just the qualifications. If you're able to deliver a positive attitude and forward action in the faces of struggle, you're probably more likely to get that promotion than someone who's not, who may have more qualifications on the books. And it's because energy is everything. And just like I hope when you come to one of my pages or when you talk to me, that you get energy and get uplifted and more positive from me. And that's what is an example of why this is beneficial. So I have 5 quick things for you, and then I'll get you to your evenings. And the first one is you got to know what you want and find it a way to make a focus. So here's the thing. You can add this to the chat if you have access to type in. I want to see them. No judgment here. This is all personal. But what got you here tonight? What is it that you want more energy for in your life that got you to show up? You know, maybe it's accountability. Maybe you want some more friendships. Maybe it's for a significant other you want to find, or maybe it's for a grandchild or a child. You know, maybe it's just to enjoy life more, you know, and I shouldn't even add a just in there, but tell me in the chat, like, what is it that brought you here? What is it that you want more energy for in your life? Maybe it's for a more fulfilling career. It's for a next step. It's for a promotion that you're working for, or enjoyment, you know. So tell me here, let's see what we got coming in. What are you looking for yourself? I love it. No snooze crew, wanting to do all the things, you know. And why this is so important to know what brought you here and what you need energy for is because this is what you're going to come back to when you don't wanna. The truth is, you are not going to want to feel like doing things all the time. Feelings never can be relied on. They're kind of like uninvited guests. They can show up. We can roll out of bed feeling great. We can roll out of bed feeling tired. There's so many different reasons that feelings aren't necessarily giving us what we need, and yet we listen to them so often. So when we don't feel like it, when we have a lack of motivation, when we have a lack of energy, this thing that you're putting in the chat, this reason that made you come on this call tonight, keeping up with your grandson, being healthier for yourself, to set an example for your kids, to enjoy the time with those kids for the second half of your life, like all these reasons, you got to find a way to put that in your focus when you don't wanna or when you're struggling. So for example, when I plug in my phone, it says, I'm an energetic source of light, empowering others to reach their full potential. And it's like super speedy, super fast. It cracks me up every time, maybe kind of dorky to you, but that's one of the passions that I've uncovered the last 5.5 years. I truly want to help others exceed their full potential and empower them. And having that reminder when I plug in my phone, if I'm feeling like I don't want to, or I'm feeling down, it'll make me smile. A big reason of why I got started 5.5 years ago was my son. I realized my 4.5, 5-year-old just wanted to play with blocks, and I didn't have the energy for blocks. I was 37.5, 38 years old in my prime without energy to play blocks. That made me realize, like, something's not right here. How is this going to get better? And if I'm honest, sometimes our motivation, we can be negatively motivated. I think the biggest factor in my getting started and staying committed was tired of crying in front of the closet. And this is my closet here. So this is, if you can see the clothing there, but I every morning would try on clothing to a point of sweating and crying because clothing did not fit. And I just didn't have the money to go out and buy new clothes again. And so I, also can remind myself, like, keeping that clothing forefront, not putting it back away, that I want to stay moving forward because I don't want to bring myself to that point of crying in front of the closet again. When you think about, like, you want to chase your granddaughter, you want to be there for the grandkids or be there, a role model for your children, think about how that makes you feel, right? I love when I see pictures in our group of women working out and their kids are like crawling on them, or their kids are starting to do the moves with them. And just thinking about how that makes you feel so proud. How great does it make you feel to chase the little or chase the dog in the yard? To be able to make that movement. Think about how that makes you feel, and then find a way to remind yourself of that focus. Maybe it's putting your family on your phone so that you're seeing your grand on your phone when you're waking up in the morning. Maybe it's putting a picture in the bathroom mirror that helps you remember why you're doing that. Maybe it's writing on top of your food journal, or writing on top of a gratitude journal every morning, what you're doing here. So take a few minutes to smile and think about what it is that you want each morning, and help that be your guiding focus. Take those nuggets, find a way to remind yourself. So the first tip is so simple. It's knowing what brought you here, knowing what you want, and then finding a way to keep it in front of you. I know Nicole has a cool reminder that goes off. She even was able to like set her phone on reminders to tell her things. So if you know how to do that on your phone, or you have an app to do that, set a reminder to do it. Or maybe ask Nicole, hey, how did you get your phone to have pop-up reminders? And I'm sure she would tell you how you could do that too, and have that reminder for yourself. You know, at 2 o'clock, maybe you start to feel your energy drag at the end of the day, and you set a 2 o'clock reminder that pops up a reminder about your second half of your life, or your child, or your grandchild, or something activity wise that you want to give energy to. My second tip for you is, this is a big one, knowing what you can and you can't control regarding those things. I think so often we find ourselves stuck, just like I mentioned in the beginning, because we're giving so much of our day and energy to those things that we have no control over. We put all that frustration, the anger, the I wish, the I didn't, and we end up putting this energy in things that just drains us. And then of course we don't have energy to take more action. We're just feeling drained from all the burdens we're carrying over and over again. And so this one, get your fingers ready, because I need you to help me out. I need you to tell me some things that we can't control. I know a big one for me that I've had to remind myself often, The 4 Agreements is a great book, is that I can't control what others think or feel. You know, so often as a recovering people pleaser, I would worry what someone would think about me trying to get healthier. What would someone think about me posting a sweaty selfie? What would someone think about me saying no to the pizza at work? Like, what would they think? What about what my heart thinks? What about what my family thinks? Like, what about what I think? You know, what I think is more important than what someone else does. So I can't control that. What are some other things we can't control? Other people's actions, yes. We can't control whether someone is going to respond to us in a certain way or not. We can't control world events. We can't control the news. We can't control the traffic, you know. In some ways we can't control work. I would say the hard thing to hear is if work is controlling you and there's no way to let it up, you do have the control as to whether or not you stay in that line of work. You know, yeah, you can't control cancer, illness. We can only do the best to handle it when we are faced up along these things. We can't control the weather. You know, we wanted to go out for a walk and now it's pouring cats and dogs with lightning on top of it. What can I do instead? Can walk around the living room, can walk up and down the stairs. I can control what actions I take, right? And so this is a thing that I want you to get excited about. Getting excited about, okay, we know there's things we can't control. So let's just decide right now, Girl Scout honor, let's just decide we're not going to waste time on them anymore. Let's remind ourselves when those things come up that we can't control, I can't do anything about it, so I'm not going to give it my energy. You know, I can care about it, I can bless it and release it, I can pray about it, I can reach out to someone if I need some help around it. But in the end of the day, I can't control it. So I can't tell you how many times I spent hours agonizing over something I did or didn't do that I can't go back in time of. And so just releasing that and saving that energy for yourself on what we can control. So what we can control is our response when someone comes at us one way, right? If someone says something that's kind of hurtful or nasty, you know, if it's directed towards you, you can control what you do when they say that. You know, maybe question it. Did my passion come across pushy? I didn't mean to offend you. Did I offend you? You can ask it. But, you know, if this is how this person is, I found a lot of conversations that I'm in, and even with myself too, is we have friends or coworkers or family members that we know how they are, and yet we spend a lot of energy. What if we release those people? The Energy Bus is one of my favorite books, and it talks about energy vampires and how we don't need to invite those people on our bus. We can release them, wish them the well, and maybe that'll help them shift and come with us. We can be an example for them, but we can't make them, and we don't need to spend time appeasing them. We can control what time we go to bed. Believe it or not, most often we can actually like turn off the phone or turn something off and go lay down and get into a routine. We can find a way to control what time we go to bed. We can control how much Netflix we watch. Now, I was not exaggerating. 6 hours a day was the average time that I was spending watching either Amazon or Netflix or something like that after work. I was up until 2 a.m. almost every single night. What if, I'm not knocking, I'm going to say like Netflix is a fun show. Like we can watch shows. I'm not saying don't watch shows, but what if like you're doing tonight, you trade just one Netflix show a day for 30 minutes of personal development, which really just equates to 30 minutes of reading a book, 30 minutes of listening to a podcast, 30 minutes of coming on something like this, 30 minutes of working out, 30 minutes of walking. What if you spend just one Netflix show putting 30 minutes into yourself and you did that for a year? Who would you be in a year if you invested that many hours in what you're putting into your brain and what you're putting into your ideas and mindset? Who could you become in a year of making those changes? That is so exciting and empowering to me. I just love the idea that we can do so much more shifting just one thing. I'm not taking away your Netflix. I'm just saying, let's change one show to meal prep time. Let's change one show to reading a podcast or a book. Let's just change one show. You can keep the other 7. You can keep the other 4. Like if you're watching as much as I did, you can keep those other shows. Just change one. See where that can get you. We can control, if we habit pair, we can control what we pair and what we do with our actions. Habit pairing is one of my favorite things. So just looking at what can you control? I can control my attitude. I can control my choices. I may not be able to control what food is in the house if I'm not the only one shopping, but I can control where it sits. You know, one big thing I do is when my husband gets some donuts and stuff, I'll put that stuff away in a pie so I'm not looking at it. And I'll keep on the kitchen counter the fruit or the veggies so that I'm looking at those. Because most of the time, if I don't see the Cinnabon, I don't care about the Cinnabon. I'm really not thinking about it. Now, if it's sitting out on the counter, sitting in front of me, then I start to think about it. Same thing with peanut butter. Like I had to stop keeping a jar of peanut butter in my desk at work because I found myself eating peanut butter out of the jar. You know, it was there for the fun smoothies I would make sometimes, but because it was there in my drawer, I would see it and all of a sudden I was eating a jar a month. So I stopped taking it to work, took it out of my view. It helped me control what I saw. So we can control our actions, we can control our attitude, we control what we think. I heard a great podcast earlier today and she gave the tip of when she gets that really like, anybody else have that nasty Jen in their head, like the biatch that's like really putting you down and reminding you of everything you didn't do and reminding you of everything you failed at? She's like in there nagging you. She said, what I started doing is when I hear that voice in my head, I look around for what can I immediately enjoy. Maybe it's smelling a peppermint oil. Maybe it's squeezing a stuffed animal. Maybe you're at a store and there's like a soft flannel shirt you can go touch. You know, what is around you that you can bring joy out of and go there, you know, move to that to get out of that nastiness in your head, because they can creep in there. You know, those stories can come in and creep in, and that's part of what we want to set ourselves up to change from. My third tip is to know who you can trust and who has your best interest in mind. So this is something that is big for me, specifically when it comes to going to the grocery store or going out to eat. When this does kind of come into food related. When it comes down to it, grocery stores and restaurants, their job is to sell you food. They're not having your best interest in mind. Their goal is not for you to be your healthiest. Their goal is for you to buy what they're selling. And so really take into stock of what information is being fed to you. This is something that's really important when it comes to looking at your office or your friend groups. You know, are your friend groups encouraging you, or are they telling you, come on, just have some more cake with us. Come on, just have another drink with us. Come on, just go out with us one more time. If your group around you, if your coworkers, your friends, your family are encouraging you to do something that you're trying not to do, they don't have your best interest at heart. They're trying to have you meet where they are. And that's someone you got to let go of. One of the Mel Robbins books talks about this inch of trust. And she says to take an inch of paper, and the names you can write on that paper is who you should trust. And of course, if you are faith believing, your creator and what your creator thinks of you should come first. If you're not faith-based, I believe what you think of you should come first. And then that small circle of trust, hopefully your spouse is in there. Hopefully you have a mentor or a friend that you can put in there. But that's something to be really mindful of, who you're getting information from and what is their goal. What is it that they're trying to reach? What is it they're trying to achieve? And is it leading you where you want to go? Now, this one is the second to last tip. Tip number 4 is really, 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 really important. If you didn't write anything down, if you wrote nothing down so far, if you haven't thought about anything yet, if you haven't thought about what you want, if this is the one that you want to stop and make sure you pause and decide. And this one is, what is your definition of success? What does it look like to have what you want? This is so important, and I'm going to talk slower right now because I want you to understand how comparison and taking your eyes off what you want can really stump you when it comes to having energy and positivity towards what you're working for. If your goal we'll use pounds to lose because it's an easy metric. If your goal is to lose 5 pounds and you compare, when you get to that 5 pounds, you compare it to my 100 pounds down, you will feel like a failure because you only lost 5 pounds. But your goal was to lose 5. You hit your measure of success, but comparing it to my measure of success took away the value of what you achieved. If you're a businesswoman and your goal was to inspire and help people, and that was the total goal that you had, and you inspire and help even one person, that is success. If you start comparing it to the top people in your company up on stage, or you start comparing it to someone who's really, having a lot of people sign up in their business, you are going to feel like a failure because your goal of helping at least one person doesn't stack up to their goal. And so this is why defining and owning, putting it there, what is it that you define as success? Not what Jennifer wants for you, not what your husband wants for you, not what your boss wants for you. What do you want for you? And how does that success look? How does that success feel? Maybe it's, loving yourself more. That's not something that you get measured on a scale. That's not something that someone else can take away from you. Maybe it's feeling more comfortable in your skin. This needs to be something that's really, really personal and positive, like positive energy for your family. I think about back 6 years ago, I would be at the sink putting away dishes or something. My husband would come up behind me and he would touch my waist here, and I would pull away and get angry. And it would follow by 30 to 40 minutes of a fight for no reason. And all that is because I didn't feel good in my skin, so I would pull away. Now I'm like, hey, look, I've got like lines here. There's like, honey, come look at this. Sometimes I'm like, hey, look at my glutes. He gave me a little tap on the bottom today, and he's like, oh, you squeezed, you had a nice squeeze or something. I don't know how he said it, but he said it really funny. But these are interactions that are now positive interactions between my spouse. When I didn't feel comfortable, it wasn't a positive interaction, And so I just want to encourage you, think about, how does the interactions do you want to feel between people? How is it that you want to feel when you walk in a room? How do you want to feel when you walk into your office or walk into a presentation or a networking event? Like, how do you want to feel, and decide what that is for you, and live in it now, because you're already investing in you. You're already putting it in. And so we're in the last 2 minutes here. I promise it's super quick, but my fifth one for you is collaborating with others that have the same vision of what you're working for. So once you know what it is that you want and what success looks like for you, find buddies that want the same thing. It's going to be so helpful to you. You're going to ping pong energy off of each other. If you're both trying to get fit, walking, riding, running, whatever you're trying to do, get that off of each other. If you're both trying to build a business and help others, bounce that back off of each other. I talk about it in my group like a tow truck. Sometimes you're towing me, sometimes I'm towing you, because life is not a constant. My best looks completely different every day. It matters of if I'm sick, it matters on what was happening for work and what's going on, those metrics we can't control. It looks different every day. And so sometimes I need that pull, I need that spark. And by surrounding yourself with people doing the same thing, that are working for the same thing, you're going to get ideas. You're going to see someone get results and be like, hey, what'd you do? Okay, I want to do that too. You know, oh, hey, how'd you get unstuck? Okay, I want to do that too. Let's do that. And you're going to bounce off of each other and help you move forward. It's scientifically shown that if you stand and look at a mountain standing with someone, it looks 20% smaller. Have you ever done something crazy that you would never do on your own that you did because other people were with you? I have. So quick fun fact about me, I'm scared of cotton. If you want to torture me, if you want me to get goosebumps, yes, I saw that, Charmaine. Cotton, do not give me the makeup remover cotton balls. I don't want them. I get goosebumps just talking about it. Cotton has this high-pitched squeak. It's horrible. I can't stand cotton. However, I walked across fire. Scared of cotton, walked across fire. How did that happen? You know, how that happened is I went down to a Tony Robbins conference in Miami, and I was in a stadium with 20,000 people, and Tony was like, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. Like, we can go do this. Let's go outside and walk over fire. And I was sure going to back out of it because it sounded crazy. But by the time I was like walking with 20,000 people and you're being funneled towards the fire and you're seeing the coals and everybody's just going and nobody's screaming and crying, nobody's laying on the floor. It's like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. Before I knew it, I walked over fire, didn't even have blisters. Would have never done it in my living room. Zero chance of it happening this second when I'm alone. But with others, with the same intent and the same motivation, it'll took me right over that fire. I know there is some point in that childhood statement that if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you too? Well, probably, because there's probably some kind of parachute or something that they're using. So yeah, I probably would have done it with my friends, but not alone. So having that collaborative power with you to help you move forward is going to keep you moving forward. I see it every week in my groups. I see people show up for themselves more than they would when they have others to show up with. And so I just want you to know, I know it's hard to make a change. I know it's hard to get going when you're feeling it. I know there's struggles and there's life that's happening, those things you can't control. I just want to encourage you that yes, there will be fluctuation in everything. But even with your best looking different every day, know this: the more you keep investing in yourself, trusting that action plus time is going to get you the results, I think you will find it gets easier. Whatever you're going for, whatever you can put that focus on in front of you, it will get easier. If nothing else, start to take some of those notes of what you want. Start to think about what success is to you, and then catch it. Catch it. I love the idea of catching kids doing well or catching someone doing good instead of like reprimanding them, where you look for them to clean their room or you look for them and then you say, oh my gosh, you cleaned your room. Thank you. Even if you didn't ask them to, because there's something magic about that. And also the last thing I want to give you before I see if there's any questions is we often overestimate what we can do in 30 days. And then we get down on ourselves because we didn't achieve what we wanted in 30 days. And yet we underestimate what we can do in a year. And so give yourself the gift that you're going to be here in a year. Whatever that dream is that you're working for, whatever that desire is that you want, that thing that you want energy for, promise yourself you'll be in it here in a year, taking those steps forward and see how far you can get instead of giving it 30 days and saying, I'm just going to go back to where I was, you know? So hopefully one of these 5 tips, if not all of them, helped you. A quick recap before we go is know what you want and find a way to make it a focus, whether it's writing it down, printing pictures, telling someone else, making a post about it every day, whatever. This is your life. You do what you want, find a way to know what you want and make it a focus. Number 2, know what you can and can't control and be willing to let go of what you can't control so you can spend your energy on what you can control. Number 3, know that little inch square of people that truly have your best interest at heart, and make sure that you are at the top of that list and that you trust yourself with that. Number 4 is define your version of success. I hope that's so exciting for you. If no one ever told you you can decide what you want to be marked as success, own that now and take it. And then number 5 is find others that want that same thing and collaborate with them and keep them in your circle. Keep them in your circle. So hopefully one of these things were helpful. I'm looking forward to getting to share and answer more later. And I'm going to take us down. So I know it's going to count us out soon. Oh, I don't know how to stop.